Former President Barack Obama just finished speaking on the stage behind me, encouraging voters to get out and vote as soon as possible, naming reproductive issues, democracy, voting rights, and health care all at stake. We'll see how all of that pans out in the election on the 8th. The city says if you're found with 28 grams or 1 ounce of marijuana, they won't prosecute you. But what does 28 grams really look like? Well, using the stand-in of peanut M&Ms, we'll show you. With this amount, you'll likely be fine, but anymore, it's a different story. We can bet Biden's scriptwriters were busy rewriting this past week after Russia invaded Ukraine. All you have to do, open up the app, pick the bike you want, and you're on the road, ready to go. Reporting live in Fitchburg, Vanessa Kjeldsen, NBC 15 News. From its equipment to its workforce, the Madison Fire Department has changed a lot over the past 4 decades. Madison Fire officials say they hope to keep sparking women's interests in the male-dominated fields. See him coming in right now behind you?
Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh.
We don't just accept, this particular change feels kind of uncomfortable as a reason to accept the status quo.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I mean, what is leadership, right?
If the governor has already come forth and said, there's no way I'm supporting this whatsoever, why do you keep fighting? Why do you work to continue?
Because it's the right thing to do. And it's what my constituents would want me to do. If I gave up every time the governor said no.
NBC 15's Vanessa Kjeldsen explains how Wisconsin got such a large budget surplus and what that means for the state.
With $7 billion, you could buy Buckingham Palace, the Mona Lisa, and the Green Bay Packers franchise.
Holy mackerel, folks. How about that?
Right now, Wisconsin's budget surplus is projected at $7.1 billion. Bob Lang has been with Wisconsin's Fiscal Bureau for over 40 years.
This is clearly the largest that we've had in all of the years that I've been here and probably in the entire history of the state.
Democrats and Republicans have a lot of ideas on how they want that money spent, but how did we end up with so much extra cash in the first place? Experts say there are a lot of reasons, but federal COVID-era funding is one of the biggest.
Probably the single biggest factor is all the federal aid that came in both to businesses and individuals and boosted state tax revenues, and also went to state government and lowered state costs in areas like healthcare.
Jason Stein with the Wisconsin Policy Forum says the federal aid took stress off the state's pocketbooks.
Like a parent who paid your medical bills, and as a result, your bank account was healthier than it otherwise would have been.
Also contributing to the surplus?
The Republican legislature simply decided not to spend the money.
Experts warn this surplus should be seen as a savings account, not a stream of income.
If the state uses that for one-time expenses like retiring debt or building state roads or giving a one-time tax rebate, that works.
But if the state takes on a significant increase in spending or large permanent tax cuts,
then that could get the state into a difficult financial position down the road.
Reporting from Madison State Capitol, Vanessa Kjeldsen, NBC 15 News. When most people hear clean energy, they may think of solar panels or wind turbines. But today, among dangly earrings and necklaces at Kendra Scott, Miss America told me nuclear energy is also an important part of a net zero emissions future. Miss America is a nuclear engineer.
Nuclear energy is really a big part of my life.
Visiting her home state of Wisconsin this weekend, she's advocating for her clean energy platform.
I believe in diversifying our energy portfolio, and I believe nuclear should be one of the primary reliable sources.
The chair of UW's Department of Engineering Physics agrees.
So today, nuclear is about 16% of electricity in Wisconsin. I would love to see it be much larger.
But the state says it currently has no plans for expansion. Why?
Building a new plant today does not compare well in cost effectiveness
Fontaine says while they're watching for advancements in nuclear, solar is just cheaper.
We'll continue to see over the next couple of years is that solar is going to become the major replacement for that continued decline in coal.
Meanwhile, Stanky says Wisconsin would be a great candidate for more nuclear energy.
I fully support solar. I fully support wind. However, I believe we need to start moving towards reliable and small land usage power sources.
Beyond Wisconsin not receiving as much sunlight year-round as other states, Stanky says
when you're planting a solar field, you're removing that availability of using that land for agricultural or dairy purposes or whatever it might be.
Point Beach Power Plant is Wisconsin's last remaining nuclear plant. It's where Grace is headed for another meet and greet on Monday.
We used to have another power plant near Manitowoc and Kewaunee. It shut down in 2013. And the biggest consequence of that is we burn more gas and we burn more coal. And so Wisconsin's climate change gases went up when we shut down Kewaunee. And so we just can't have that happening anymore.
As her academic advisor, Wilson says while it's been energizing seeing Grace use her platform for nuclear energy, at the end of the day,
she's a high-performing nuclear engineer, independent of all this Miss America stuff. I mean, she's just a really good nuclear engineer.
Vote for Chrissy.
Chrissy Harris, a fifth-generation Evanstonian running to keep her seat in the 2nd Ward, is receiving support she says she never asked for.
Why all of a sudden I'm getting these large donations that everybody can see. It kind of feels like a setup from where I don't know.
The Ryans are Northwestern University's biggest donors. A few weeks ago, the family's affiliates started donating to Harris's campaign.
They want somebody on the council who is going to go along with their plans for the Ryan Field expansion.
When there was just 2 weeks left, Harris's campaign started seeing money fly in. First, $6,000 donated from a woman in New York married to a Ryan family member. Then another $6,000 from the chief marketing officer of Ryan Specialty. Then Harris tells me she received another $6,000 also from a Ryan affiliate.
That was like $18,000. I'm like, whoa.
Harris says she never solicited the donations, nor does she even know the Ryan family.
They're above my pay grade.
But she says it doesn't matter who the money is from.
It didn't matter if it came from Santa Claus. I didn't need $6,000. I was going to return it to Santa Claus.
And returned all of the money.
We may vote yes on Ryan and we may vote no. And I don't want somebody to feel like, oh, we gave you that money.
But some say it wasn't fast enough.
I think someone who really had an ethical view of this campaign would have returned them automatically even before it was exposed.
Leslie Williams from the Community Alliance for Better Government, whose organization helped bring attention to the donations, says Harris's team should have been aware of the large donations immediately.
I lived in Chicago for many years under the Daley administration, and it feels sadly very familiar to that.
Meanwhile, Harris says she was hospitalized when these donations came in, delaying her refunds by about a week.
It's not worth nobody's integrity.